battle damage. So today I was thinking about creating our controller, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I think there's a couple other things that we need to do first. So first of all, we're creating a design pattern here. It's called the model view controller design pattern. So I thought, you know what, let's just make this another topic. Design patterns. Design patterns can be a little, I don't want to say confusing. They're not confusing. It's just, I think sometimes people take them too seriously. They try to architect their code in such a way that fits into a certain pattern, when really what they need to be doing is they just need to be leveraging their intuitiveness when it comes to understanding how things relate to each other. Design patterns are nothing more than just, ways that objects relate to each other that people understand and it makes sense. But what really needs to happen is, I feel like you need to really leverage your own experience and your own creativity to create programs that represent how you look at the world. And if a model view controller pattern makes sense to you, then go ahead and use it. But it isn't something that, you have to be, followed to the letter of the law. And I think that's what some people do, is they go crazy about it. Just understanding what the pattern is and how it works, that's really all you need. So, well, the reason why I bring this up is because I realized I need to implement a new pattern, because when I was looking at what I was going to do next, I realized I had a little bit of a problem of how do I get classes to communicate with each other. So then I realized, you know what, I'm going to have to show you a pattern called the Singleton. Now, I want to warn you, Singletons are basically classes that get created, instantiated, and they exist for the whole life of the program once they're created. And let's go ahead and do this now. And who we're going to do this to is we're going to do it to the model, because I realized there's some things here in the player class that I would like to have the player class have access to the model. But I don't want to create, something like this, like RPS model, and then have to associate that to every single player class so that the player has access to the model. There's other ways that we could try to get the player to have access to the model, but I realized, well, the model, when we look at an MVC pattern, we see that the players are created by here. Well, that's how we're doing it. The player's created by the model, and the view has access to the model, and the controller has access to the model. Everything has access to the model. So I feel like this is going to be a very nice fit. So to create a Singleton, what we need to do is we need to start with the constructor. So we don't want people to be, if we're going to create a Singleton, we don't want people to be doing this anymore, where we do RPS model equals new RPS model. We want to have a way to access the model, and it gets created at that time. And so the way that we can prevent people from doing this is we can make the constructor, and I'm sure I've covered this before, but the constructor in a class, you always recognize it because it's the name of the class, and it doesn't have a return type. So there's no return type for it. So that's the constructor. So anyway, we want to make the constructor private. Now, if we go back to our program here and we compile this, so I'm going to do control or, yeah, well, on Mac it's command. On Windows it might be the Windows key or control, I'm not sure. But I'm going to do command B. And now it says it's inaccessible due to its protection level. So you can't create a new one now. So that's exactly what we want. All right, so the next thing that we need to do then is we need to create our instance. And I like to do public RPS model, because we're going to return our instance back. And we're going to call this instance. And this is going to be a field, but we're going to make it obviously a property. So in our getter, we're going to have to create a private field here, and we're going to make it static. RPS model instance, and let's make sure it's null to start. And then the first time you try to get the instance, we're going to test to see, is instance null? And if it is, we're going to create a new one. Now, this works because we're within the class and it's private. So we're able to call it here, but other people can't call it outside of the class. So that's pretty cool. And then we will return our instance. There. All right, so this gives us an instance where if the instance is null, it creates a new one. Otherwise, it returns that instance. It basically makes it so the object is a single object throughout the whole program. That's why they call it a singleton, because you only have one single access to that instance. You can't have two. So now what we can do is we don't have to even have this anymore. You see a whole bunch of stuff goes crazy. All right, and then we just need to make sure that our property is static so that we can access it at the class level. And then now you can see, okay, so here again is all of our red. So now to access it, we just do RPS model.instance. We're going to be changing this, but as you know, I like to refactor things to make sure that they work rather than just changing a whole bunch of things. And then if something doesn't work, wondering, well, why the heck doesn't it work? So now this now represents our model. And it gets created the first time we run it. So let's go ahead and update all these. There's probably a better way of doing this than the way I'm doing this right now. But when you look at a lot of programs, you're going to see singletons a lot. But like I said, be careful, because the power of object-oriented programming is the ability to hide code. Because when you make code accessible everywhere, you're basically introducing the ability for something to go wrong, something to change, something that you didn't expect. You want to be able to understand all of the paths through your program. So you want to understand what can change this class, who has the right to change the class, who's responsible. So, and like I've said before, there isn't any right way to do this. So this is just the way that we're going to do it. So now let's save this and let's see if we get any errors. I'm going to go ahead and do Command B on my end. Okay, cannot implicitly convert RPS Oh, that's funny. Okay. All right, we're good. So let's go ahead and play this and make sure that it works. Man. Okay. Yep, it works. So great. So we have implemented the model as a singleton. And the next thing we can do is now we don't need to hold the model in the view anymore. So let's make sure this goes red. Great. We don't have to have a set model anymore. Now it has access to it by just doing rps model.instance. There. Great. Awesome. Let's make sure that works. Of course it doesn't, because I have a call there I don't want. Okay. All right. Yep, looks like our view is updating. Great. Cool. The next thing, so we talked about singletons, and again, be very careful with them, because global data is data that can be changed by anything, anywhere, and that's basically what a singleton is. So you want to make sure that you protect yourself and make sure that what you're doing makes sense, and don't have a bunch of singletons all over. So, all right. Yeah, we're going to be talking about more design patterns. There's going to be some other fun ones that we can talk about, like facades. I like those. Factories. So, and there's many, many more. These are basically just patterns that people have found over time as they create software that are very useful. And you'll find it really does simplify your code and how you think about your code, and it makes it so that you have a rich understanding of how everything interconnects, so that when you do have a problem, you can follow the issue right to where it is. So, okay, great. If you like this, please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and if you like the video, go ahead and like it. Thanks for watching.